Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to Saturday's edition of the dceu Daily. So, let's be straight with each other. Today, I'm recording this video on New Year's Day, the 1st of January 2021. You are watching it with a bit of time travel on the 2nd of January 2021. So, Happy New Year to you all. And what a New Year's Eve it was for every Snyderverse fan as we tweeted, "Restore the Snyderverse." We had over 200k tweets for that very event. So basically, when Warner Media and AT&T and Jason Kilar and Ann Sarnoff were on Twitter, silently, they saw this. They know we want it restored. Now, I believe we were always going to get it restored from the moment Zack returned. And when a company give a director over $70 million to finish off his cut, we know the future remains with Zack Snyder. So that's a brilliant picture. Now this was dedicated from Zack Snyder to Fiona, the person who started the Release the Snyder Cut campaign. They're the facts, because I love the way Zack deals with villains and bullies. He doesn't, shoot out toxicity. He makes it clear who he supports. And he's so grateful to Fiona, because without Fiona, we wouldn't be where we are now. And there's some accusations against her. There's bullying. It's absolutely despicable. Fiona seems like a really nice young woman. And, from across the world where she's from, to do what she's done is sensational. So well done, Zack, for making it clear that you back Fiona. And that's absolutely important. And then Zack posted this on Vero. Get ready 2021. I'm ready. I'm in 2021. Are you? Wow. And this is obviously a picture of Gal from Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know what those two guys there are all about, but definitely that's Gal from Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's what she's wearing in that first teaser scene we got when the cut was first announced back in March. So how awesome is that as well? Now, someone posted this. Actually, I want to put this as not my profile picture, but my big font picture on my Twitter. Basically, it says, "Restore the Snyderverse, DC." How awesome is that? So I might use that. Whoever did that, thank you. Sorry, I can't remember. This one was posted. I don't know who did this artwork, or if it's from a comic book. But basically, someone was saying, imagine, in Justice League 2, if the rumour is confirmed that Batman sacrifices his life, imagine Superman holding him up. It will be the reverse of what happened in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, when Superman sacrificed his life. Obviously, this moment would stand unless, Justice League 2, if it happens, isn't going to happen before Flashpoint. So it's very awesome. It's very awesome and interesting how Flashpoint balances the Snyderverse with Earth 1 and Earth 2. Don't forget, the Snyderverse, according to Zack, will be an Elseworld story. So, over 200 tweets is freaking amazing. It was an amazing day. I mean, for me, it was a New Year's Eve evening. This was all kicking off. But it was brilliant to see so many people tweeting. Everyone excited. What's his name? Mark something from Forbes, is it? He did a great article about the Snyderverse as well. Basically, this just shows Warner Media, AT&T, and Sarnoff, John Stankey, that there's a big support for the Snyderverse, and there's money to be made from it. Now, ironically, and I don't think this was an accident, but an interview with Jared Leto with Variety was posted, and this is what he had to say, if I can make out the writing. So the final question, will Leto reappear as the Joker in HBO Max Snyder Cut version of Justice League? The actor was vague and refused to confirm it. I may or may not be in this. I've heard this rumour too, he said coyly. We'll have to let Zack Snyder confirm or deny that one. When pressed about whether he shot some scenes, he answered much the same. I may or may not have shot something with Zack, but I love him, don't we all? He's just a maverick and an incredible filmmaker. We get along great and have great chemistry. Perhaps tellingly, he says, I look forward to working with him again. In the future, we have lots up our sleeves. Zack and I, Snyder technically never worked with Leto before outside of the DC films. He's listed as a producer on So that might be the confirmation fans need. As for the we have lots up our sleeves part, we'll get to speculating, I guess. Well. Let's just talk about that before I carry on, because there's another portion of this interview, I think. But me and Zach have got lots up our sleeve. Now, hopefully he's talking up their DC sleeves and not other projects. So if this is true, there's a lot going on. Zach did say a couple of weeks ago he wants to talk to David Ayer about his cut. Now, of Suicide Squad. And talking of that, Jared had this to say. Actually, this is not it. Actually, this is just a repeat of what he's just said. If I just press pause, I'm going to pull up the bit where he talks about David Ayer's Suicide Squad. This is a direct quote from Jared Leto. Let me clear my throat. We've got to do it properly. This is a big moment. I'd love for David Ayer's movies to be able to work on that and make the film of his dreams, at Jared Leto, when asked about the Ayer cut. So let's just repeat that. I'd love for David Ayer to be able to work on that and make the film of his dreams. That's amazing. That's brilliant, because we can get Jared Leto's Joker the way he should have been, but get that story right. But let me give you kind of a theory here. What if the reason is why it hasn't been announced yet? Because I was always certain from the moment the Snyder Cut was announced that David would get his cut. Maybe he's going to get 70 million like Zach. Maybe Zach's trying to talk with AT&T and Warner Media about that. What if he and Jared and the rest of the cast could work together again to perfect that film? What if he actually makes Jared Leto's Joker the actual villain? Now, David spoke about this after the response and the reviews of the movie and admitted he was wrong to make Enchantress the villain and Joker should have been the only villain in the film. And I agree with that, because from the early trailers, it did look that way, but it was very deceptive. I don't think it's anyone's fault at the marketing department. I just think that's how it looked. So I do believe after Zack Snyder's Justice League is been and gone, that could be the next project to restore the Snyderverse. The Snyderverse was originally going to be Earth 1, the main vision for Zack Snyder's for Zack Snyder and the DC Extended Universe. That was going to be the thing. Zack Snyder's verse, his story. This was going to be the opening chapter of the DC Extended Universe. Now, I think what we all have to understand and have to concede, we're never going to go back to those days where the Snyderverse is Earth 1. It's everything that's going on within the DC Extended Universe. That's not going on anymore, unfortunately. But there's still a good way how everyone wins. I hear a lot of members of the Snyderverse fandom say, oh yeah, but we want Earth 1, we want it all, we want this. No, we have to think about every single fan and their wants and their needs. And what Jim Lee's multiverse strategy does, in fact, it's Walter Hamada's, because if you go back to 2018, there was a convention where they had a big billboard saying the worlds of DC. So he had this idea for a very long time. The worlds of DC, the multiverse strategy, just gives everyone their own sandpit to play in, including Zack Snyder. Zack's already mentioned Elseworlds, and I think Elseworlds is a great thing for Zack because he can do whatever he wants. He can complete this chapter of his story, then start a new saga. No one is going to want Zack to ever stop making DC movies, but I want to see it all. I want Zack to have his sandpit. I want Matt Reeves to have his sandpit. I want all of these creators. I want Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 500. I want them all. And it's not confusing, and it could be so awesome done properly. Now, talking about Matt Reeves, the Batman, a rumour came in the Sun newspaper from the UK. Yeah, those big pillars of journalism, right? They were saying apparently Matt Reeves is working poor Robert Pattinson to death, and he can't handle it. He's so tired. Wait. You mean a director wants lots of cuts of the same scene? You mean there's arguments and toxicity on a movie or a TV set? Proof that the people talking about this like it's a big drama have never worked in entertainment before. Well, I have, at lower levels, but I've done it. I've written and performed plays. That, the rehearsals can be toxic when you're performing for the theatre. But not just that. When you're listen, forget about your Blu-ray extras. That's just bullshit for the fans. It is very, very hard work, and it's very, very. It can, you know, you've got all these voices shouting, and it can get toxic. But it's not a bad thing. Everyone's just passionate about making the best content. So this bullshit about Matt Reeves working poor Robert Pattinson to death, I didn't really want to make a whole video about it. In fact, I was talking to Boba, who's got his own channel. He was pretty annoyed by this as well. And yeah, you know, I think it's just one of those things. I hate all this negativity towards DC content. This is why I got upset with Ray Fisher's statement, because one of the things that really upsets me about Ray Fisher, I understand why he came out originally, but now we're getting the cut. Now he seems to have got his justice. I think, and as I said in my first response to Ray, I said, you and Walter Hamada just need to talk. You need to say, basically he needs to say to Walter Hamada, listen, I don't agree with what you said to me about throwing Joss Whedon under the bus and leaving Jeff Johns alone, but I think I was wrong for exposing our private conversation publicly. There needs to be a meeting together, because when you start talking about private conversations between you and your boss, you're going to lose your job. And I think this is what's happened here. He's been sacked. He hasn't got up one morning and said, oh, no, I don't care. Accountability over entertainment. I don't care about my work. He must be a millionaire if he doesn't care about working. And I don't think that he is, but maybe he is a secret millionaire. Maybe that's how he can afford to do this. So the point is, Ray, and people who have unsubbed from me because I've been very direct and honest about my opinions about the Ray Fisher situation, the big bugbear for me is that you may not care if you play Cyborg again. But we do, Ray. We do. Justice League may have been a shit show, but you are actually quite brilliant in it. And I thought Joss Whedon used you quite well, actually. I think you did some great performances. And I know there's much more to come in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I thought you showed what a great cyborg you are. So it would be a shame if we never see you again. So what did he mean when he said, I won't work for this man again? Any projects with this man involved? Well, there can be a situation where over on the Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, he can work with Zack, because Walter Hamada won't be involved in that. So I don't think it means he'll never play Cyborg again, because if Zack does like a kind of a limited series or a few series of a kind of Ray Fisher Cyborg show, then Ray will be happy to do that. And maybe that's what's going to happen. But I think the problem is now, how can he be in Flashpoint, which was always the plan. It was even the Snyder's plan from back in 2017, 2018. So this does need to be sorted out very, very quickly. Now, finally today, let's talk about Wonder Woman 84. That's made over 100 million worldwide now. That's for a pandemic. It's been available around the world for a couple of weeks. Was only released in America on Christmas Day. The numbers I'm seeing globally are very good, considering we're in a pandemic. Places like New Zealand, where there isn't really many restrictions, it's doing even better. So this film's doing well. So what can this film make? Well, we got to look at Tenet. Did Tenet make about 400-500 million in the end? You would expect it to reach that in the end, hopefully. So if this film gets a target of 500 million, considering what's going on, that's brilliant. Now, what you've got to consider is as well, how much has this film made for HBO Max with subscriptions? That's something they're going to have to tell us eventually. But if they can reach 500 million, which is a big target, by the way, but if they can do that, who knows, within sponsorships and subs, what this whole exercise is worth to Warner Media. So I do think it's been a success. Now, I want us to go back and think about my balanced review of Wonder Woman 84. Because people are under the impression, I hate the movie, I hate Patty Jenkins. How could I hate someone because of a film, because of a piece of art? You don't hate people because of it. It's always what I said about The Last Jedi. What Rian Johnson did was made me just not be interested in watching Star Wars. He took my love away. How can anyone be able to take people's excitement away about Star Wars? Star Wars is awesome. So the underwhelming feeling of that. Now, in terms of, now this is actually what Justice League did. It made me lose my inspiration and my excitement for the DCEU. Once I saw Justice League, I was like, I don't want to watch these films anymore. I don't even want to rewatch Man of Steel or BVS. What's the point if that's where we're heading to? And what's going to happen now? And this is what The Last Jedi did. But in terms of Wonder Woman 84, I didn't feel that way. I really loved the opening sequence. I think the second act was very middling and it made the film slow. But all the stuff with Maxwell Lord was great. He may not be the Maxwell Lord we know and love from the comics. He's still a good version of the character. My problem is with this film, its commentary, again, like Birds of Prey, is about toxic masculinity. And I just feel if you're going to go real world, if you're going to go that way, then you must do it and talk about important things like starvation, like abuse, just everyday problems, everyday people, are going through, famine. There's just so many more important things than toxic masculinity. And it's just weird to Hollywood and these extremists that this is the most important thing. You can talk about mental health issues. But anyway, I actually liked the film. I think Patty's gone at it a certain way. She wanted it to look like she made it in the 80s, which is a weird kind of thing to do. It's set in the 80s, but you very scarcely think that it's in the 80s. And she admitted she didn't want to make the 80s a character in the film. Again, it's an odd choice. The way she brought back Steve Trevor, not a deal breaker, but an odd choice. So she's made these choices now, and now, the pieces will fall where they want to fall, and we'll see what her future is within this universe. I was thinking about this. Maybe it's not a big deal how they've kind of messed with continuity with this film, because in Batman vs Superman, Diana says that she turned her back on mankind after 100 years of horrors, which she clearly hasn't done. Now, let's just say, because Steve Trevor died in, 1918? So that's kind of 50, is that 50 years from 1918 to 1984, or whatever it is? I'm not very good at maths. So maybe she could have, turned her back on mankind for half that. Maybe Diana just got her maths wrong. Or we can fix all of this like we can fix all the problems of the DC Extended Universe within Flashpoint. I think Flashpoint's an interesting film because we know that nothing's going to be forgotten from the past of the franchise. But how do they place people in places and fix certain situations they want to fix? This is very interesting. It's interesting because I was talking Flashpoint as soon as I saw Justice League. I said they're going to do a Flashpoint and they're going to fix all of this. And when I saw Aquaman and Shazam, one thing really, really was interesting to me, that neither of those films ever contradicted Zack Snyder's universe, the Snyderverse. Now, for a universe that apparently wanted to get away from that story and from Snyder's verse, it was interesting that they kind of crept around it. So not necessarily making big callbacks to it, but they didn't contradict anything. In fact, you could say Wonder Woman 84 contradicts more than James Wan's Aquaman and David F. Sandberg's Shazam. In fact, we spoke about Shazam and how great it is with the Easter eggs for BVS and MOS as well. And so Flashpoint will be a great leveler. So we've had this beautiful, beautiful event, Restore the Snyderverse. It's been extremely successful. I don't think Zack Snyder's going anywhere. I do not. I mean, let's talk about this whole New York Times article and this whole comment from this journalist that it's a cul-de-sac to nowhere, according to people he's spoken to inside the company. But we've been here before, haven't we? Apparently people inside the company have told this journalist that journalist that. You can't blame the studio or Walter Hamada if people are making up as they go along. Everyone cites kind of sources. But maybe if they were told that, what they meant, a cul-de-sac to nowhere, could just be that it's Elseworld. That's what they probably may have meant. That it could just mean that Elseworld means it's not going to be involved with the central multiverse arc and multiverse story. That's what could happen after Flashpoint. So the Snyderverse could be a cul-de-sac to nowhere just because it's part of the Elseworld. And this is what the insiders could have meant. So maybe we're all misunderstanding what they actually meant. That makes more sense than insiders saying, oh, well, it's a one and done. Lots of journalists have been obsessed about this being a one and done because they were embarrassed. For years they were saying there's no Snyder Cut, the Snyderverse is a pipe dream, it won't be restored, and now they can see their, agendas and ideologies kind of falling to the wayside as the fans seem more right than journalists, says nobody cares what critics and pundits say anymore because most of it is opinionated political bullshit. So we will get the Snyderverse restored. Look, it's 2021 now. It's 2021. And this is the year we see Zack Snyder's Justice League. Some of us will wait to see it as a whole movie, I'm sure. Some of us won't be able to wait and watch the 4 episodes. However you do it, please don't pirate it. This is my opinion, right, about, kind of pirating things. Unless they make it impossible for you to watch, don't pirate it. If it's available in every country and apparently it's already, I think you can you reserve it on Google Play and Prime Video and things like that? Apparently. Apple, I'm not sure. I heard something. Anyway, apparently you're going to be able to rent it on pay-per-view around the world. So I'll definitely do that if I don't have access to HBO Max back then. So finally, because I keep on saying finally, Richard Donner, 91-year-old Richard Donner, has done an interview with the Daily Telegraph. Now, he has confirmed that he's doing Lethal Weapon 5, which will obviously, at the age of 91, be the final one of the franchise and the final one of his career. It's amazing. I'm really excited for that, by the way. I'm a big Lethal Weapon fan. Dick Donner is one of the iconic directors, whatever you think of Superman the movie, compared to Man of Steel. But he made some interesting comments. I mean, he apparently said he's fed up of dark stories and dark superhero stories. Apparently, he's never heard of Zack Snyder, which contradicts what he said when Zack Snyder was first announced for Man of Steel. He said, it's going to be a really hard job for Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder because of what's gone before and the comparisons. But he said Zack Snyder's a great director and I'm sure he'll do great. So a 91-year-old man said he couldn't remember someone. A 91-year-old man. I think you may forget things yourselves when you're 91, right? So don't go abusing a 91-year-old man on social media. It's not nice. Dick Donner is a legend. Without Dick Donner, we wouldn't have any superhero movies right now. If it wasn't for Dick Donner's Smallville sequences, Superman the movie, we wouldn't have got the fantastic Smallville TV show. Dick Donner is a pioneer. He directed the first original Omen movie in the 70s with Gregory Peck. Awesome. Superman the movie. Lethal Weapon. Scrooged. 4 Lethal Weapon movies and Scrooged. And he did he do the Goonies? I think he did the Goonies. The man is a fucking legend. And I think the problem is with today's youthful kind of movie fans and geeks and nerds, they only think about the present. Something else that really pisses me off now, someone was talking about Stargirl on Twitter being the greatest superhero TV show. With this generation, the latest thing is always the greatest thing or the worst thing. Let me be absolutely clear before I sign off for today's DCEU Daily. Smallville is the greatest DC TV show ever made. Smallville will continue to be the greatest DC TV show ever made because it earned the right to represent DC characters. And Superman Clark Kent had to earn the right within a decade of episodes and seasons to become our iconic hero, Superman. Nothing on TV, in terms of television, will ever beat Smallville. So don't start telling me Stargirl is better than Smallville, because you, my friends, are wrong. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. And don't forget, we are actually January the 2nd. You're watching this on January the 2nd, but I'm doing it on January the 1st. Don't get confused. It's a bit like the multiverse. It's not confusing. So a brand new episode of Doctor Who, a holiday special, will air later today. Not on your day when you're watching this, when I'm recording this. So today, as you're watching this, I am planning to actually do a kind of a reaction to the Doctor Who holiday special, because we're getting Captain Jack Harkness. John Barrowman back. He's finally going to be reunited with the Doctor, which is really exciting. So I can't wait for that. So I will react to that. Now, I have seen this episode. I'm not going to give away anything, and I'll let you know my thoughts and feelings on it a little bit later on. So comment down below, like, share and subscribe. Go follow me and tag me on Twitter @MoviesTVMad, and I'll see you tomorrow.